Obama's CIA.
We're talking about Trump.
But I'm talking about President Obama's CIA director.
Yeah.
He came out and said, I see no ties, I see no collusion here. So when President Obama, who's a Hillary supporter...
Republican said that too.
The View's Joy Behar met her match when conservative commentator Tomi Lahren joined the panel and confronted her hypocrisy head-on. From heated exchanges about President Trump's policies to pointed debates on the truth behind partisan investigations, Tomi didn't hold back, leaving Joy visibly flustered and struggling to keep up. Before we dive into this epic clash, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more unfiltered debates and bold takedowns. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Did you just subscribe? Awesome. Let's dive into it.
I think part of the issue for me was that his rhetoric during the campaign, when you say stuff during a campaign like, you want to ban all Muslims, or you use this broad terminology, then when you go to introduce policy, I happen to support this 2.0 as well, but when you institute policy that maybe doesn't do that, people look and say, well, what was the intent of this policy looking back? If you said X, Y, and Z over here, why are we not to believe that now this policy is intended to, in fact, ban Muslims, which you said? Is that not his biggest issue?
I think that it is. I mean, for Trump, rhetoric is usually the problem, and it's usually the basis of the problem. But I like to look to policy more than just talk. And when we're talking about campaign promises, wasn't it President Obama that said, if you like your health insurance, you can keep it? I mean, some things...
Well, one thing he said, and they keep bringing it up over and over again. But what about Trump says something crazy every day?
Your social media following, you have 4.3 million followers on social media. Each of your videos are viewed an average of 5 million times. Why do you think you've resonated with so many people?
I think, in large part, I represent middle America. So you've got the two coasts, and those individuals seem to kind of just talk to each other. Yeah. And then you've got all of middle America right there that's dying to have a voice. They don't really feel like they have one. They're not represented, beyond their communities. So I think they watch me and they say, well, she speaks like I do. She thinks like I do. She seems to maybe get it like I do. And I think that's why it's resonated. And also, I do something very different. There's not a whole lot of young conservative women out there. And so I provide that for a lot of young women. They don't.
The conversation began with Tomi addressing the controversy surrounding Trump's rhetoric during his campaign. Joy Behar attempted to corner her, bringing up claims of Muslim bans and controversial statements. However, Tomi quickly turned the focus to the facts, highlighting how Trump's policies aim to address national security, not religion. Joy, as expected, tried to twist the narrative. But Tomi shut her down with a sharp rebuttal, pointing out the flaws in labeling policies as religiously motivated without understanding their true intent. When asked about her massive social media following, Tomi explained her connection with middle America, a voice often overlooked by mainstream media. She emphasized that her authenticity, grounded in facts and unapologetic commentary, resonates with millions of Americans who feel ignored by the elites on both coasts. This insight clearly irked the hosts, who seemed unable to grasp why Tomi's message struck such a chord with everyday Americans.
President Trump's travel ban, 2.0, because this is the second one, was blocked earlier this week. 6 federal judges now have said that it's unconstitutional. But you support his plan. Are all those judges wrong?
I believe so. I don't believe it's unconstitutional. They're going with the Establishment Clause, but I think folks fail to also remember that the Establishment Clause in the Constitution doesn't cover non-citizens, A, and B, he is under his, and I think you could maybe attest to this as well, it is under his jurisdiction to be able to do this. He is able...
But didn't he shoot himself in the foot when he said a Muslim ban? Come on.
But this isn't a Muslim ban. This isn't a Muslim ban. Well, no, unless all the Muslims in the world have been able to pack themselves into 6 countries, this is not a Muslim ban. For a Muslim ban, India would be included. It's a high Muslim population. So, to me, this isn't a Muslim ban.
Does it bother you that he leaves out, like, Saudi Arabia, where he has a business?
No, I agree.
Egypt,
I definitely think Saudi Arabia should be included. I do. I agree with you there, Joy. That's maybe one of the points we can have agreement on. I think Saudi Arabia.
The issue for me was that his rhetoric during the campaign, when you say stuff during a campaign like, you want to ban all Muslims, or you use this broad terminology, then when you go to introduce policy, I happen to support this 2.0 as well, but when you institute policy that maybe doesn't do that, people look and say, well, what was the intent of this policy looking back? If you said X, Y, and Z over here, why are we not to believe that now this policy is intended to, in fact, ban Muslims, which you said? Is that not his biggest issue?
I think that it is. I mean, for Trump, rhetoric is usually the problem, and it's usually the basis of the problem. But I like to look to policy more than just talk. And when we're talking about campaign promises, wasn't it President Obama that said, if you like your health insurance, you can keep it? I mean, some things...
Well, one thing he said, and they keep bringing it up over and over again. But what about Trump says something crazy every day?
Who supported investigations into Hillary's emails, into Benghazi, into the IRS targeting conservative groups. I'm sure you were on board with those as well. But now you have an investigation of the Trump campaign and his potential ties to Russia. I also think that that's a valid investigation, given that we know that his campaign had contact with Russian officials last year. That was at the same time that Russia, we know now, was in fact trying to interrupt our democratic process. Do you support this investigation as well into Trump's potential ties to Russia?
I support an investigation, but I support an investigation into wiretapping claims as well. I think if you're going to investigate one, you need to investigate the other. I think that that's only fair. And I also think it's important to point out that President Obama's President Obama's CIA,
about Trump.
But I'm talking about President Obama's CIA director.
Yeah.
He came out and said, I see no ties, I see no collusion here. So when President Obama, who's a Hillary supporter...
Republicans said that too.
Right. Well, when Obama's acting CIA director comes out and says, I see no evidence that there's ties
But there's no evidence of wiretapping either.
But right, so we should investigate both to the fullest.
The conversation escalated when the topic of President Trump's travel ban took center stage, a policy that had already sparked nationwide protests and polarized opinions. Joy Behar and the panel eagerly pounced on the opportunity to frame the ban as discriminatory, insisting it was nothing more than a veiled attack on Muslim-majority countries. But Tomi Lahren, armed with facts and sharp reasoning, was more than ready to counter their narrative. Tomi wasted no time breaking down the intent of the travel ban. She clarified that the policy wasn't based on religion, but on national security risks. As outlined by the Department of Homeland Security, the countries targeted, like Iran, Libya, and Syria, were flagged due to their history of terrorism and lack of proper vetting procedures, not their religious demographics. Joy wasn't ready to back down. She pressed Tomi on the exclusion of Saudi Arabia, implying that Trump's business interests had influenced the decision. It was a calculated jab, meant to undermine the policy's credibility. But here's where Tomi surprised everyone. Instead of deflecting, she agreed. You're right. Saudi Arabia should have been on that list. Her candor caught the panel off guard, demonstrating her ability to critique policies, even those she supports, when she sees room for improvement. This moment highlighted a critical difference in the discussion. While the panel was focused on attacking Trump personally, Tomi remained centered on the broader issue of national security. She acknowledged the imperfections in the travel ban, but reminded viewers of its ultimate goal: protecting Americans from potential threats. The president's job, she stated, is to prioritize the safety of our citizens, and this policy is a step in that direction. By the end of the segment, it was clear Tomi had held her ground. Despite the panel's attempts to twist the narrative, she remained steadfast in her defense of the travel ban, while still acknowledging its areas for improvement. It was a masterclass in navigating a hostile debate, leaving viewers with plenty to think about. The debate then shifted to investigations into Trump's ties to Russia and alleged wiretapping claims. Tomi made a bold yet fair statement. Both matters should be investigated thoroughly if we want true accountability. She pointed out that even President Obama's CIA director found no evidence of collusion, leaving the panel scrambling for counter-arguments. This exchange showcased why Tomi Lahren has captivated so many Americans. Her ability to stay calm, present facts, and expose bias is unmatched. Meanwhile, Joy Behar's attempts to deflect and twist the conversation only highlighted her own double standards. What do you think? Did Tomi Lahren deliver a masterclass in debate, or do you agree with the Views panel? Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned for more fiery debates. Before you go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It means the world to us.